Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Monday Huddle Show. I'm your host, Dr. Dawn Hamby, and today's episode is all about leadership. I'm calling it Unleash Your Leadership. You don't have to be a manager to uncover your true potential. So I am so excited that you are joining us today for another episode of the Monday Huddle. If you're a first-time viewer, you may not know how obsessed we are at Shop Talk about a Monday. So I'm getting ready to explain all about that to you here in just a second. So as I mentioned, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Monday Huddle. If you are a first-time viewer, I'm Dr. Dawn, CEO and founder of Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. And we're pretty obsessed, like I said, about a Monday, you guys, because we believe that if you change your attitude about Monday, you're just going to have a better work week. So we invite you to be part of our Monday revolution by joining us each and every Monday for your next episode of the Monday Huddle, where we share 3 tips that we think are going to help you get your week started off on the right foot. So if you do that right, you've got this, you guys, you really do. Now, at Shop Talk's mission, we're all about you being your best self at work and at home. And I believe that if you're really happy with your work life, you guys, it's going to spill over into your personal life. And the reverse is true. If you're just miserable at your job, there's just no way you can have the same kind of energy and love for what you do outside of the office. So it's really important to think about making your vocation your avocation, right? And at Shop Talk, we're all about helping you do just that. I'm a proud wife, a proud military mom. I have 30 years of experience in the workforce. Most of that has been in education, training, and management. So one of the things I absolutely love about being a career coach is I get to help people. I get to help people in strategizing their next career step. I get to help them figure out if it's time to make a move for their next position, or maybe even apply for another job outside of the company that might showcase their talents even better. I also get to help people strategize for their next promotion or even a salary negotiation. So that's what I absolutely love to do as a career coach. And if you don't know much about what a career coach even does and why you should hire one, check out my website at drdawnshoptalk.com. That's where I explain what coaching is, what you can expect from me, and how to get the best results as a client. I also had a lot of freebies, you guys. I'm all about free resources. So in fact, each and every Monday, you'll have a chance to look at my secret notes because I post these notes on my Monday blog. So on the Monday blog, the tips that I'm going to share with you today and the tips I've shared in other episodes are going to be right there for you. And then our videos are there on our website as well as on YouTube. So be sure to check that out, you guys. I would love to work with you. And you can book a free 30-minute consultation. You're not obligated to purchase any of our coaching packages or services or book us for your next presentation, anything like that. It's just a chance for us to get to visit and see if any of the services would be a good fit for you. All right, you guys, I'm excited to get started with today's episode. Again, it's entitled Unleash Your Leadership. And the subtitle is all about management. The fact that I don't believe you have to be a manager to truly uncover your leadership potential. So let's talk about that. Now, as we do, I'm going to refer a little bit to the Monday blog. This is the set of notes I told you about that I'm going to post right there for you on the website. So let's talk a little bit about the intro. If you're lucky enough to be a leader, I think it's a true gift. I've been blessed to serve the state of Arkansas, as I mentioned, for 30 years, and a good portion of that has been in leadership roles. I've had the privilege of leading some of the best teams out there. And if you're in a leadership position as I am, I believe that comes with great responsibility. And the reason is because I believe that you hold the very potential of your staff in your hands. I believe that as a leader, it's your responsibility to help bring that out, to help your staff member really uncover their own potential and bring that to the surface. But as I mentioned, you don't have to be in a leadership role, to even see your own potential. Instead, you can bring that out yourself. And that's what today's episode is all about. I don't want you to have to wait until you're actually in a leadership role. Or what if your job changes and you were in a leadership role and you're not in one now? It's still your responsibility to uncover that potential and bring that to the forefront. So today's episode is going to be all about ways to do that. All right, you guys, so let's get to it. As we do, again, I'm going to talk about 3 tips. There's many more we can talk about, you guys, but I just want to share 3 of my favorite tips with you today. So here's tip number 1. Let's start by redefining leadership. I think we need a new definition for leadership, and let me explain what I mean by that. I think that if you're an outgoing extrovert, you might notice I may have a little bit of that myself. I realize that about myself, and I think that as an extrovert, and I think my extrovert friends out there would agree, we kind of have an advantage, don't we? We really do. Society rewards us. Management and senior leadership rewards us. Why? Because a lot of people find public speaking, for example, or speaking in any way in front of a group, whether it's a committee meeting or an actual presentation, a lot of people find that to be very difficult. In fact, I have a whole other episode about public speaking and how to help you feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Well, as an extrovert, your bosses will kind of naturally lean on you a little bit to take charge. They might ask you to lead that committee meeting or take on a project or to give that presentation because they know you're comfortable in front of a group. Well, I would venture to say that the person behind the scenes who maybe is a little bit more of an introvert and they really kind of have to work at being out there and doing that public speaking, they're just as valuable. What if they're the person that actually put all the data together so that you, as the extrovert, could eloquently make your point? What if they're the ones that know everything about Excel so they can help you actually put together those charts that you're going to give in your presentation? The person who works behind the scenes is valuable, but the problem is sometimes their opinions or their ideas may not come to the forefront if they don't have a leader that's supporting them and has their back. I would venture to say that whether you're the CEO of a company or whether you're the CEO of your own household, your opinions matter. And what you have to do is make sure that you're bringing those to the surface, otherwise they could be missed. Now, later on in tip number 3, we're going to look at more specific ways to do just that, but I believe that's the first step. Really redefine what you think leadership is so that you can uncover that leadership within you. All right, you guys, as we go through these tips, again, I think that it's going to help you take on this week, perhaps in a new way. Even if you just use one of these tips, I think you're going to have a fantastic week. So let's do this. Tip number 2, I believe you get what you put in. I really do. In other words, sometimes it just comes down to the amount of effort that you put in. So in other words, I believe you're responsible for the effort, but you're not going to have any control over the outcome. But what's interesting about this phenomenon, you guys, is I've seen this actually with my own staff. I've had staff members that were really natural leaders at home, or maybe with their interests outside of work. Maybe they're the coach of that baseball team, or maybe they're a community leader or a church leader. And yet at work, for some reason, they become a smaller version of themselves. Why? Is it because they've had leaders in the past that have kind of shut them down? Or is it because they're just really miserable in the particular position they're in? And again, as a leader myself, I always found that my staff was the happiest and was willing to take on more leadership roles if I really got to know them a little bit better. If I really asked more questions about their personal lives, their families, their children, their dogs, if I asked them about their interests outside of work, because then I was able to see maybe some other tasks that they could take on that they'd be perfect for. And if they're really happy taking those on, you guys, they're not only going to do a great job, and then my department is going to be at an all-time high in productivity, but then they're going to actually be a contributing member and just be able to be so much happier in their work life. And that's just going to spill over in so many different areas. So make sure that you take on that responsibility. If you're not lucky enough to have the kind of leadership that supports you, then you've got to do that for yourself. You've got to speak up. And again, if you don't, You guys, your value is sometimes going to go unnoticed. So we're going to get to that in tip number 3. But before we do, I want to point out, usually when I get to my second tip, I want to remind our audience out there, our supporters out there, to make sure that you like, share, and definitely provide your comments. I'm always watching the show live, even if I have to pre-record the episode. So I'm so happy to get your feedback. It really helps me discover what you want to see more of. All right, you guys, last but not least, tip number 3. I've been mentioning this all throughout the episode, but you guys, speaking up and not listening to the naysayers is so, so important. So let me explain a little bit more about this. All right, referring back to our wonderful Monday blog here that you can find on the website, I believe, you guys, in an invaluable part of leadership in the process itself is to recognize that your ideas have value, but if nobody hears from you, they're simply not going to know the kind of value you have, and then it can go unnoticed completely. Don't let fear of being rejected or someone else's opinion of your idea keep you from speaking up. In fact, when I mentioned naysayers, I have a whole other episode. It's called our Red Carpet Edition about not listening to the naysayers. So I use celebrity examples in that Red Carpet Edition. You can find that on YouTube because of the fact that sometimes celebrities, because they by nature have to have a really tough skin, right, to get through all the critics, sometimes they have wonderful stories of how, even if they were introverted, how they had to really fight for their talent. They had to fight for their ideas. So I believe that the important point is to make sure that your idea is known, even if it never gets used. And you guys, when I have clients that struggle with this, I become their voice. I become that coach that's going to push them just a little bit outside their comfort zone so that they can get the recognition and the acknowledgement that they deserve. Even if that doesn't mean it happens immediately, right? Because sometimes you have to kind of keep pushing for your ideas to get noticed and for senior management perhaps to notice your ideas. But it's great practice for that client because they're going to feel more comfortable in their own skin and they're going to be their best advocate, not just for themselves, but even for their department. As a result, the whole organization is going to benefit. So think about that, you guys. Really think about speaking up. If you do, your happiness, I really believe, is going to change. You're going to be happier as a result. And I also believe that if you do that, more opportunities in your career are going to come your way. And then if you're ever in a position to be offered a management position, remember how it felt not to be in that leadership position. Remember what it feels like to perhaps have your ideas overlooked. So just make sure that as you awaken this inner leader within you, and I believe each and every one of us is really capable of doing that, make sure that your ideas come to the forefront for sure, but also make sure you always lead with kindness and with professionalism. And if you do, watch out, you guys. Your potential has no boundaries. I really do believe that that is absolutely possible. All right, you guys, as we wrap up today's episode, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. I mentioned that on the YouTube channel, I've got our Monday Huddle episodes, but I have much, much more than that. I've got other videos out there as well as some other freebies like a free webinar that we have out there as well. Shop Talk is also on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Now, you guys, before we go, I always like to remind our audience that we air the Monday Huddle each and every Monday at 12 noon on Facebook. Oftentimes, we'll have it immediately posted to our YouTube channel as well and on our website. So you guys, I hope you have a wonderful, very, very happy rest of your Monday, rest of your week for sure. And be sure to stay safe out there, you guys. And then we will see you same time, same place for your next episode of the Monday Huddle. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Monday, as I mentioned earlier, you guys. And again, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.